multiply. The shade can be darker on the characters in the foreground, whereas they can be a little lighter on the characters closest to the light source. Once I'm happy with the result, I reorganize the layer so each tree element is in their own layer with the white transparency layers in between. I then move the character layers in between the background elements so that the white transparency layers affect them as well. It'll be most visible on the archer since that area of the illustration is most affected by these transparency layers, which helps create depth in the drawing. I also move the female character on the bottom right behind the front right tree element. At first I wanted her to hold the branch that pops upwards, but then realized I wanted this tree element to look as though it was much more at the front. With her holding it, some depth is lost, so I adjust this by placing her behind it. I have applied the exact same process by placing the sketch on top, lowering the opacity, and using the sketch shading as reference to create the first layer of shading on top of the background. I then continue to put the blend mode on multiply and lower the opacity according to their placement in the illustration. So the front tree elements have darker shades than the ones in the far back. In the next video, we will start creating a painted effect with vector using different brushes to create different textures and opacity levels and blending modes to complement the base colors and blend the light source in more smoothly. Thank you for listening! Hi, and welcome to Mastering Fantasy Design in Poser and Illustrator. My name is Nas Peters, and in this video we will start shading the illustration, mainly using the paintbrush tool, adjusting the weight, opacity, and blending mode to give it a painted look. We will also be using Gaussian blurs. If you wanted the illustration to be entirely raster-free, you could use blends instead, but this file is already quite heavy so far, and I know that the following process will only make it heavier. Considering the amount of elements in this drawing, I decided to use raster effects over blends to avoid slow saving processes and lags. Lags